Good day to you all. Welcome to Carrow Road, where Norwich City played a game of football in front of some fans. 1,000 of them were behind me in the south stand for Norwich 2, Preston 2. I'll get stuck into the game in a moment. But what I did want to say is that I was really surprised how having 1,000 fans in what is a very big stadium would make such a huge difference to the dynamic of the game. Maybe I've just forgotten what it's like. But that was wonderful, really, for that to have happened. It sounds like it's all gone really well. Obviously, as I've been saying all week on my various channels, we've got a lot of things going on in terms of how this then develops, whether it continues, all sorts. But in terms of an EFL pilot event, it's gone very well. Norwich got it all in hand. They know what they're doing, and they've done very well with it. So that is good news, and it definitely added to this afternoon's fixture, and I would say in Norwich's benefit, because they certainly made themselves heard, and I would have had that probably impact on the Norwich side maybe more than, say, Preston, who I should say were very good. Now, I have to say it's quite a similar side to the side Alec Neil had at Preston 2 seasons ago when Norwich would have last played them. Ignore the FA Cup game, the side was very different circumstances at Deepdale. But in the 2 games 2 seasons ago, this was very similar. Preston play the ball around, they're really well structured, they press, they sat on Norwich quite high, which, as we know, is sometimes, if they're not quite in it in their heads, it can be quite awkward for them. And played very well in terms of they created some really good chances. They could have scored 4 or 5 really. They had 2 great chances from corners in the second half. And they're a really difficult, stubborn side to play against. But that, I'm not belittling them there. They just are very good at lots of different facets. Again, the sticking point, as it probably was 2 years ago, they just struggled to take their chances. But Alec has sort of built up a decent side, and they will finish in the top half, I would imagine, comfortably, miles better than Huddersfield, from what we saw last week. So I think you have to put that context in. Probably another thing that Preston probably struggle with is being a bit streaky, but generally they start quite well, and I know they had a poor result on the opening weekend, but they had a few players in today, and I think they were much better for it. So it was a proper challenge for Norwich, physically and everything. Norwich couldn't really dictate the ball or possession and really run the game. They are quite a different side to 2 years ago, I have to say, without players like Stiepermann, Vrancic, which is apparently how I'm supposed to pronounce it now, Mario Vrancic, Tribal and Moritz Leitner. There's not the metronome possession control that was obviously so keenly imposed on Norwich over 2 seasons. That's very interesting. I don't know if that's because obviously the personnel's changed. Some of them are still here, but it's an interesting dynamic. You've got a player like Xavi Quintilla playing on the left who just loves crossing a ball. He's on all the set pieces, but he also is religiously crossing the ball from left back, which is great. But Norwich's attacking options in the box haven't really changed. So if they weren't crossing, if crossing wasn't the best option then, why would it be now? Because you've still got Teemu Pukki trying to win headers in the box against Preston defenders and the like. Has to be said that Teemu did score from a header today. That was the equaliser. Norwich were already down to a penalty, which happened just in front of me. There's the stripy nets, by the way. Ollie Skip did have his arms up into the back of, I think it was Ben Davies. And I can see why it was given from how it would have looked in the referee at real time. But also for me, the defender has backed into him and then just fallen forwards. I get why it would have looked in real time like it was a penalty, but I don't think that was just a simulation of a foul. To be perfectly honest, should never have been given, especially after the 2 that weren't given for Norwich in Huddersfield. But there we go. Scott Sinclair took it very well, as you would expect. He's a very good player. So Teemu equalised. It was Quintilla's cross and then Teemu Pukki's header, scoring with his 2nd shot on target this season in the league, whereas normally it's been the first for the last 8 seasons, but we'll forgive him for that. But it did primarily owe a lot to Declan Rudd, who basically palmed it against the post and it went in, and it should never have gone in the net. Poor old Dec. He made up for it later in the very last minute, in fact, with a superb tip over from Teemu Pukki. Looked a goal all over. It was a lovely move as well, that Przemysław Płacheta helped create with a great cross. It was a lovely counter, and we did see some nice moments in attack from Norwich, but they were twice behind in the game. The second goal coming just a couple of minutes before half time. The defending was absolutely woeful. I've got to watch it again, but I'm guessing it was Ollie Skip who didn't pick up the run of Scott Sinclair. Whoever it was, it's absolutely criminal, because it's a nice ball into him, but the guy is on his own in the 18-yard box. And ultimately, I think Godfrey gets a block in, even though the shot may not have been going in, and Darnell Fisher finished off well first time, actually, considering that Przemysław Płacheta had the same chance in the second half with an open goal and stuck it miles over, and it definitely classed in the sitter category, that miss. Ollie Skip had a difficult first half, I thought, actually, having really liked what I'd been seeing of him. That was a learning experience. He was better in the second half, but it was interesting how it was a bit too open a lot of the time. So I think there's obviously a bit of discipline work that's got to go into Ollie in terms of where he is. And he was very eager, but you could see those sort of limitations, and there's plenty of tactical things for him to learn, which Daniel Farke, in fairness, did say in his press conference ahead of the game today. He said that on Friday. So it was a difficult first 45 minutes, I think, from Ollie. But as I said, he got better in the second half. And Płacheta did well, took his goal, the equaliser, I think it was with 8 minutes to go, may have been 5, no, 85, I think it was 5 minutes to go. Took it really well, which bodes well, because he's very quick, but you can see how raw he is still as well. He wasn't really pushing on high enough, which was curious, because he was kind of getting in, he wasn't pushing up, which kind of left no space for Quintilla. And then in the first half with Max, he was almost making the runs into Max's space, which I think is why Płacheta came across on the other side to give Max a bit more room. And it's just those things where, and we also had it with Todd, who was quite quiet today, and Kieran Dowell at Huddersfield, just sort of being in the same positions too often, and not really working to that point. And today we saw Kieran Dowell hobble off after a pretty naughty tackle through the back of him from Ben Davies. It was a definite foul. He got the ball, but he went through the player, and I think he probably twisted his ankle. So a bit worried that will be ligament damage and will be weeks out, but they haven't had the scan yet, so they don't know. It's quite swollen, protective boot, crutches, so we will see. But I mean, it's a foul, and again, I have to say, I know people will be glad there's no VAR, but for me, the standard of refereeing is so poor in the Championship that you just need it to bail yourselves out half the time. But anyway, so yeah, lots of rawness, lots of things for Daniel to work at. I mean, we are only 2 league games in, so plenty of time as well. But he's got a lot of people to keep happy in the same point. And Jordan Hugill got on in the end, right at the end, but not really enough time to make a proper impact. Ben Gibson has sort of sat and watched that game today, and he'll be itching to get involved, especially with some of the defending we saw today. But there we go. Norwich found the character. They equalised. It's fair to say that all 3 promoted teams all drew today. Norwich were the only one who did it after going behind. So I just know I'm conscious of trying to see a defensive improvement, and that was a bit annoying today, because that was a bit of a weakness and just a lack of composure. But early, give them time in terms of this season to really get a grip. Obviously, the 2 major stories away from all that, Emi Buendia didn't feature in the 18 today. He did take a whack on his shin just at the end of training on Friday. Daniel Farke was hoping he'd be fit. He didn't pass a fitness test this morning, so Daniel Farke got a message saying he wouldn't be available. So no Emi today. With Kieran's injury, I think you'd like to think Emi will be fit and ready for the trip to Bournemouth on Sunday week, as I record this. So that'll be a big thing. And of course the Max Aarons stuff. Barcelona wanting him on loan because they can't really afford to buy him out right now. No particular commitment to stump up the 20 million quid. Unless they sort of opt to in a year's time. So quite why Norwich would ever agree to that deal for one of their biggest assets, I don't know, hence why it hasn't happened. It does put Max freshly in everyone's mind, and of course it does also make sure that everyone knows that Barcelona now have been interested in Max Aarons along with Bayern Munich. 3 weeks of the window left to go. Can't wait for it to be over. Thanks for watching. As always, theathletic.com or .co.uk for all the usual gubbins during the course of the week. Plenty for you in store. Leave your comments, let me know what you're thinking, and of course I will be doing live videos on Wednesday on Facebook on the afternoon and Friday afternoon on YouTube as per usual. See you then. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and on we go to Bournemouth on Sunday.